Paranormal Nightshift, the fight, viewer discretion advised.
Welcome to Paranormal Nightshift, your home for all things that go bump in the dark and your fan stories told here. Today's story comes from Corey and Tiffany in Mississippi and is called Paranormal Intervention. This incident occurred about 10 years ago. I was a young man back then, 25, maybe 26. My girlfriend, now wife, had just moved in together. I thought we had a decent relationship, as most young men do, but I was ignoring some things that she needed from the relationship. I was being like most guys are, overconfident in myself and not really putting her needs first, so it led to a lot of arguments. I had lost my father probably about a year before to an unfortunate overdose. We were now living in his house in very rural Mississippi, but one day a small argument led to a very large argument. Sure, every relationship has gotten to this point at some point, but just nagging, both of us getting on each other's nerves. Arguing turned to screaming, screaming turned into things being thrown, and then things turned violent. You want to do it, why don't you just do it? Go ahead and hit me, just do it! I want you to know that I would never put my hands on my wife, but I had never felt that mad. Next thing I know, she cold cocks me right across the face. What did you do that for? You told me to, and if you get back up, I'm gonna do it again. That's when I became very mad. Something took over me. I stood back up. I didn't know what I was thinking. I had never thought about trying to be physical with her. I balled my fist up like I was gonna hit her, and that's when I heard, "Hey! Hey!" It shook the entire house. Both of us just stopped where we were. There was no need for a conversation of, "Did you hear that?" We both looked at each other. We both clearly had heard it. The argument was over now. The negative energy in the house just disappeared. It was like whatever it was just shook us to our core. Like I said, this is very rural Mississippi. We walked outside to see if somebody was out there, looked around, and there was nobody around. We knew what we had both heard. We sat on the front porch just for hours that night, just talking to each other, having the conversations that you need to have in relationships, and making a promise that we would never get that mad at each other ever again. I don't know if you want to call it divine intervention or what, but I'm thankful for whatever got our attention, shook us and made us grow up, and realized how much we actually loved and cared for each other. We will never argue like that again. We still live in the same house. We've been married for a couple of years now. And if we ever do get to that point to where we argue, both of us look at each other and just say, "Hey, I just want to say thanks to whatever spirit it was. We are very grateful."